Just like the street lights lit this town, like a fire in a blaze, gotta burn it down. Can't be afraid to leave this out. We got this far, don't know how. I see danger in your eyes. They know we'll burn down the night. Coming just like the sunrise. You know that we gonna let it rain tonight. We gonna let it rain tonight. We gonna let it just like the sunrise. We gonna let it rain. Just like a spark that's breaking out. Can't make a stop, can't turn back now. We know that there's no room for doubt. No, we can't turn back now. I see danger in your eyes. They know we'll burn down the night. Coming just like the sunrise. You know that we gonna let it rain tonight. We gonna let it rain tonight. We gonna let it just like the sunrise. We gonna let it rain.
Hello, welcome in, everybody. If I sound winded, it's because I am. I was just trying to rush the dog in here, and I was like, come on, come on, come on, come on, like real quick, you know? So welcome in, everybody. You can't even see them, but they are behind me. There she is. She's getting the... What are you doing? She's getting the pillows down. I don't even fight her with it, you know? She's just going to do it. She wants the blanket and she wants the pillows. I would want to be comfortable too while I was listening to me, right? Listening to some true crime. Now she's not even on the bed. She's just like, get the pillows down for me. I don't think she can get them. We'll see how she does here for a minute. And then if she doesn't get them, we'll get them for her. But welcome in, everybody. It's good to see you. It's Sunday, the 26th of October. We're almost to the end of October. Does anybody in here have any trick-or-treaters this year? Are you guys having any come to your house, or do you have any that are going out trick-or-treating? I'd love to know. I'd love to know what they're going to go out as. I would love to dress up. I haven't dressed up since I was a kid, but I want to. What, Mia, don't do that to her. The other one's growling. Sorry. But if you guys are new to the channel, my name is Tanya, or Titanium Build if you're watching on a replay, or if you're watching live. This is Mia over here to my right, the one that's growling, if you can hear her low growl. And this is Araya, and she's finally sitting down, because Araya don't take no. She don't take none of that. So I was like, what? I don't know why she lets her bully her around. It's so crazy to me. But it's good to see everybody. Hey, Ladybug. Hey, Dawn. We'll say hi to some people, and then we'll get started with tonight's coverage. Hey, Crystal. Hey, Laura. Welcome in. Hey, Crime Kitty. She's here. If there's ever a night that I don't see that, like, I'm here, I would be like, what's going on? I'd be like, where's Crime Kitty? Laura, I hope you get feeling better. I go to that doctor on Halloween. Should I dress up? He would think it was funny. Hey, Jennifer. I have to go back to my hometown too. Hey, Dawn. I don't know if I said hey to you. But yeah, I have to go to a bunch of doctors this week. It's going to be a crazy week. Hey, Christy. Hey, Casey. But just, no, I mean, I feel fine. I just have to go because just got to go, you know. Got to hit up them specialists. Hey, Dan. Hope you had a good weekend. Made taco soup. I don't even know what that is, but it sounds good. I had tacos. That's why I was a couple minutes late. I'm sorry. I was eating my tacos. And then I had to brush my teeth. So I'm not using the timer. I just turn it off every night and turn it on right before the live. That way it, holds good battery. But Vincent got me some new batteries that are rechargeable. Finally. Been wanting them because I use lights, for the studio too, like those candles and stuff. And those candles, they will go out quick. So my pumpkin, I've noticed, I think that the batteries might be getting a little lower. I think those are the ones that I put in there aren't the good ones. Like I didn't put the rechargeable ones in there because I was just trying to see it, like get it to light. It has like Energizer in there. They're good batteries, but they're not like these ones that he got. He said these ones were special. Yes, Dan. Yep, we went over that on her TikTok. She did a TikTok. We should actually go over there and see if I think she posted a new one. I think we'll go over there and look. Hey, Tony. I always feel like on the weekends and like through the week, it's not busy, but I'm just like, if we're covering a new case, I'm like so focused on like getting the facts out. I feel like I miss the chat sometimes. So it's always nice on like Sunday to like, I don't know, talk to you guys for a minute. Oh, last October when your pup passed away. I'm so sorry to hear that. Did you get a new dog right afterwards? Because I'm guilty of that. I actually got two. These two. Hey, Pete. Sorry, my leg's itching. Hey, Kathy. Hey, Tracy. Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. If you guys don't mind just hitting the like button, that helps. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you, Kathy. That means a lot. I really outdid myself this week. Vincent was helping me go through, of all things, like we were trying to think of like what cases to cover. And so he's on like law and crime and court. He was doing the mostest today with it. And he was like looking to see what cases were like trending or what was popular. And he kept telling me, he was like, what about this kid's case or this one's? And I was like, do I cover a lot of kids on my channel? And he's like, well, he's like, yeah. He's like, you do. He's like, I think you do. I was like, oh, I guess I do. When you see a face, kid's face, it's hard to say no. And even with Sebastian's case, his case, I got from a subscriber. A subscriber asked me to start covering it. And I was like, okay, no one was covering it at the time. I said something about it like one night, and then we've covered it the next day. And then it just snowballed. Everybody was covering it. Kind of like everybody's covering hidden true crime right now. Take a baby to Pigeon Forge. Oh, not sure. He has to be a pumpkin. It's his first year. He's got to be a pumpkin. Renee, he's got to be a pumpkin. You got to get him a pumpkin. Get him the Target outfit. If they still have some, I have to go get it. Oh, they have a Target outfit for a baby. That doesn't come in my size, or I would totally get it. They do have matching like costumes for adults at Target. They were like those Labubu looking things. They're $50 for two. But if you think about it, it's like a onesie. It like looks so comfortable. You could just wear it all the time. Just wear it all the time. Hey, Ash. Oh, wait, I didn't. So you're going to be the baby ghost. Hold on. I am taking my daughter trick-or-treating. We are going to be ghost. Oh, a mom ghost and her baby ghost who is half an inch taller than her. That's cute. Those are easy. That's an easy costume. My brother did that one year. He cut up my mom's good sheets. She said, where'd you get those? I remember that. Were those my good sheets? And he was like 6 foot. Hey, Dion. Hey, PKC. So funny. Like, why did he still want to go? He was just wanting to be a kid. You always have to have a couple options, Yeah, because you never know. She might change her mind. At least you're not having her wearing wigs and sending her into an enterprise car dealership. I still can't get over Melody's case. Hey, Lenora. I'm waiting for more information to come out. My day daughter is going to be Wednesday, and I'm going to be a female Freddy Krueger. Tony, that's awesome. I love that. Those are good ideas. Now I do want to dress up. I have not dressed up since I was a kid, but I know a lot of people do. Like people that are adults do. I don't think I have. I've had to have went as something. We did. We went. Well, we didn't. We just dressed up as ourselves. But I guess you could have said it was a costume at the time. Oh, I know, Tracy. It's so to give you the gist. Basically, she text some things to some people, I guess, and she didn't want them to get out, so she tried to put a cease and desist on her, and now everyone's talking about it. Just because I guess people don't want to, I don't know, find other content. They're just like, everybody's covering that case, or in a case, not even a case. It's drama. I don't know. So I'm just like, I'm good. Me either, Renee. I'm just like, it's just too much. Too much. I fell asleep through the 9-hour live. I tried to watch the one with Dr. John. I fell asleep during that one within like 3 seconds. I was like, I fall asleep easily, I guess. Call me narcoleptic. Oh, it's bad. Oh, it's bad. If you think, I don't know. I don't know how to explain it, but it's like on such a high level already. Like, I'm just like, whoa, and everybody has the same opinion. So, and rightfully so, but yeah, so I'm just like, oh, but yeah, everyone's covering that. It is too much. Yeah. Me too, Tony. I went to the For You page because I love to like watch lives when I'm like, when I'm after my live, I watch live. It was great. It's been crazy. Okay. Well, let's start with this live. But yeah, anyways, yeah, no, it's nuts. It's too much for me. I can't do the drama. I did like some Betty content before on my second channel, just like making fun of Betty or whatever. But it's just it's too much. It's like when you get into that, like, I don't want to say group because there's not, like that, like hate bonding or whatever it is, like that hate, like just that hate of like, not, and you don't even hate someone. I don't know. It's like dislike or disdain. It really ruins you. It ruins you. It'll make your mind, it's just too much. I didn't do that. I didn't do it in high school. I can't do it at 40. Can you imagine grown adults? That's what I say. I'm just like, and the best is the men. The best are the men, that are right along with it. So on tonight's live, we're going to go over the second part of the interview with the BAU FBI people that were doing the assessment on Bryan Kohberger. The first episode that we watched on the podcast, it was okay. It wasn't like that bad. They were like assessing him a little bit. It was, I don't know. This episode, I listened to it earlier, was a lot better. It got more to like, if they think, he's going to do this again, and a lot more other questions or a lot more other things. So we'll get into that. But welcome back to the channel. I know I just talked your guys' ears off for like 13 minutes. I just want to start by saying a huge thank you to you guys for being here. Thank you for tuning in tonight, whether you're tuning in, in the live chat, or you're tuning in on a replay. And hola, baby girl. And can I kick it? Hello. I thought I saw someone else come in. Welcome in, everybody. If I missed you, hello. It reminds me of high school trauma too. That's what it is. I think that maybe they just didn't have, maybe, I don't even know. I was too busy in high school too, smoking cigarettes behind the school, you know? I'm just kidding. I never smoked behind the school. Never smoked behind the school. Never did. No, I'm not saying I didn't smoke, but I didn't smoke behind the school. I'm glad you enjoyed part 1. Oh, good, good, good. So, if you guys would like to support the channel, you guys can always do that by hitting the like button, all those things that we ask you to do in the beginning of the live. Subscribe to the channel, all those things. I'm going to grab the channel membership link, put it in the chat. That way, if anybody wants to become a member of our beautiful channel here, we're trying to grow it. You can do that. And I'll just pin it up at the top and then we'll be ready to get ready finally. So I did find this and I thought it was pretty interesting. Remember the other night we were talking about Bryan Kohberger's sister, possibly, like someone said in chat, like something about his sister writing a book. I thought like she was going to write a book, you know, not that this book had already come out and someone was claiming it to be her book. So let me just show you what I'm talking about because it's kind of hard to explain it. So basically, this is the book cover and it says the true crime biography of Bryan Christopher Kohberger and the Moscow murders that stunned the nation. It's got his little AI picture here with him, you know, I don't know, looking at something. And then it says Melissa J. Kohberger. I don't know if that's her real middle initial or not, but apparently this was fake. The book was AI. Like, I would have been so mad if I would have bought this book. I would have been so mad. But I guess it only has 2.5 stars. So whoever bought the book was probably not very happy, but it was AI. So it says, where does it say that? Okay, it says Bryan Kohberger pled guilty to the 2022 murders of Madison Mogen, Kaylee Goncalves, Ethan Chapin, and Xana Kernodle, students at University of Idaho. He has 2 sisters, Melissa and Amanda, the latter of whom attended the hearing where he was sentenced for the murders in July 2025, as People magazine reported. The book with the author, Melissa J. Kohberger, is titled The True Crime Biography of Bryan Christopher Kohberger and the Moscow Murders That Stunned the Nation by Melissa J. Kohberger. Martin Soto, I don't know, Diaz, the attorney for the Kohberger family. So the Kohberger family has their own attorney. That has to be expensive. Told Lead Stories via email on October 22nd, 2025, that the book was not written by Bryan's sister. So this is his quote from their attorney. Melissa Kohberger has not published anything relevant to her brother's case. The book has appeared on Amazon. The book that appeared on Amazon was nothing more than a poor attempt at making it a quick buck by using artificial intelligence and her name. We are still considering legal action against those responsible. Sorry, I wonder who's responsible. Who did the AI book? Can you find that out? I mean, can they find that out? I'm sure they could. I mean, there'd have to be a paper trail. I mean, you know, trying to be funny there, but I'm not trying to be, but I was funny. That was funny. No, there would be a paper trail. So I don't know. They'd have to be able to figure out who did it. But isn't that crazy? Really, Renee? I'm glad you didn't buy it. You'd have been mad. You would have known as soon as you opened up that book and started reading that it was AI, right? Well, they took it off of Amazon, I guess. But I guess they took it off of I guess it's taken off of the websites, but it did say that somewhere that it says here, Lead Stories ran the text in the description of the book from Amazon on chat GPT0.me. I don't know what that is, but okay. And the result said that the snippet was 100% likely written by AI, as the screenshot shows. Well, why can't we read the snippet? I want to read the snippet of the book. And I guess it's not there anymore. So crazy, right? Oh, to the W9 with that account. Oh, thank you. Thanks, Kara. Didn't know that. Yeah, publisher, you would think. I mean, it could be independently. Isn't that can you independently publish your books or something and you don't have to have a publisher? These dogs do this every night. Okay, the scratch at their bed. And then I do have some more stuff like pulled up just for like reference, so we can go back and check on it whenever we listen to this podcast. It has to do with Bryan Kohberger's family, and I did find the article because I couldn't remember Bryan Kohberger's such a vegan that um his aunt had to switch out the pans supposedly. Well, I found the article, the original article for that. So we'll go over that also because I thought that was pretty funny. I was like, wow. I couldn't remember exactly where I read it or where I heard it. You know how there's things that you're like, wait a minute, where did I read that? Because this case has been going on for so long. So if you have any questions tonight, just put them in the chat. Like if you want to put like a couple X's, the little emojis, the red X's or something to get my attention. And yeah, I'll answer some of your questions. And make sure you ask any questions. Don't think any question is stupid. Even if it's a question from the first day of this, case starting and you're like, man, everyone probably knows that but me, ask it. Because, I might not know it. I might not know. And if I do, I'll tell you. And I'll look it up for you if I don't. So, okay. Let's go ahead and we'll go over to the podcast. Basically, we're going to dive into the topic of Bryan Kohberger tonight, and whether his alleged crimes were sexually motivated, among other questions. So, the nature of this attack, the multiple stab wounds, the extreme violence, the close range contact suggested to many that this wasn't random. It felt personal, probably obsessive in a way. And that's where questions about motive begin with Bryan. Was this purely about control and anger, or was there something darker, maybe even sexually driving it? So before the murders, investigators say Kohberger's phone pinged near the victim's house multiple times. We don't know for sure. Investigators say that there is no connection to any of the victims, but then you have victims' families that are adamant that they did see a connection. So with that being said, he could have had a connection. He could have followed one or more of them on social media. I just think that the repeated presence suggests that he was fixated on something. If it wasn't the house, it had to be someone in the house. So we have some criminal profilers that are going to talk tonight. They are going to point out the pre-crime behavior, stalking, studying, watching, the routines that he had. And that aligns with offenders who crave power and fantasy over anything. So, yeah, let's go ahead and get into this. So I'm going to put up some pictures as we go. And, actually, let me take it back and let me take it down to one right speed. I had it a little bit faster so I could get through it. Yeah, so we'll listen to this and I'll put up some stuff, like I said. That way, that way we, you guys have something to look at. Okay. And I will slowly put the volume up because I don't want it to be too loud for you guys. I don't have headphones, so I don't know how much the feedback.
That take you from work to after work
Oh,
in
wait.
sweaters that give
We'll
cozy.
do the commercials in the beginning.
.com/arch and murder. Sometimes the cases we discussed
over $75 and free return.
Okay.
Welcome to the consult. I'm Julia Cowley, retired FBI agent and profiler, and I'm joined by my colleagues
Angela Surser, Susan Kostler-Drew,
and Bob Drew.
Angela, Susan, and Bob are also retired FBI profilers, and we work together in the FBI's Behavioral Analysis Unit. Today is part 2 of our analysis of what has become known as the Idaho student murders, the quadruple homicide of Madison Mogen, Kaylee Goncalves, Xana Kernodle, and Ethan Chapin, killed in the early morning hours of November 13th, 2022 in Moscow, Idaho. On July 2nd, 2025, Bryan Kohberger, a 28-year-old PhD student in his first year of the Criminal Justice and Criminology program at Washington State University in nearby Pullman, Washington, pleaded guilty to their murders. In part 1, we reviewed the facts presented by the prosecution at Kohberger's change of plea hearing and discussed what they revealed about his behavior and possible motive. We collectively concluded this was most likely a sexually motivated homicide. In this episode, we'll continue exploring the many unanswered questions. While Kohberger's plea deal waived his right to appeal or seek leniency, it did not require him to explain what he did or why. Today, among other things, we'll discuss his potential motive further, how we would classify him behaviorally, and whether we believe he would have killed again if he had not been caught. Before we begin, a quick reminder, if you'd like early and ad-free access to our episodes, you can support our show on Patreon at patreon.com/theconsultpod. And if you're looking to connect with others who listen to the show, check out our fan-run Facebook group called Unsubs, where fans of the consult discuss our episodes and other true crime topics. Okay, so we previously discussed that we don't believe Kohberger intended to commit a sexual assault when he entered 1122 King Road. And that may be due in part to his knowledge of forensic evidence. However, a recent episode of Dateline may offer some additional insight into his specific fantasy. And according to the show, investigators reportedly uncovered portions of Kohberger's Google search history, which included pornography searches involving terms forced, passed out, drugged, and sleeping. And I can't independently confirm the accuracy of this report, but I have no reason to doubt it.
So what I can gather from that is that this offender had an odd presentation. And there are some conditions that would be considered to apply to him where he would have no overt interest in sex. That's not the case with this offender. This offender has not only an interest in sex, but sex with people who are unable to defend themselves, to extricate themselves from contact with him, etc.
I mean, that's true. That's what they found on his phone. I mean, there's there's no confirmed evidence of SA in this case. But when crimes show fixation on specific victims, overkill, and an intimate method like stabbing, like this case, many profilers, they'll view that as a form of sexualized violence. It's about feeling of power, not necessarily like the act itself. So without even the actual act happening, the physical act, the motivation could still be sexual in nature. And it could be rooted from obsession, dominance, and gratification because they want control. And I could see that. And I could see a control thing.
So again, this just supports your assertion that there is a sexual aspect to this, and that although he may not engage in overtly sexual interaction with them, that part of his motivation in burglarizing their home and in entering their bedrooms while they're occupying their beds and then murdering them, there is certainly a sexual aspect to these murders and therefore to his motivation.
In this case, the covert sexual dynamics, I believe, were stimulated by the planning, by his prowling, being in that neighborhood 23 times, the selecting and the watching of his victims, and ultimately entering their home and killing them. I think a lot of people struggle to understand why someone would take such a high risk, entering a home where multiple people were present, any of whom could fight back, escape, or call for help. And this was a high-risk crime. We don't know exactly who he expected to be there that night. I think we can reasonably assume he expected Maddie to be there at the very least. So why take that risk? And with some offenders, the risk itself becomes part of the fantasy, the danger, the intrusion, the assertion of control, not over just one person, but over an unpredictable environment. It all feeds into this psychological need they're trying to satisfy. If this was about domination, power, or fulfilling a violent fantasy, then eliminating certain barriers, like other people being in the home, can become part of the offender's internal narrative of power and control. And the high risk doesn't deter them. It fuels them in a sense. And when someone is operating under a compulsion or fantasy that's been building for weeks, months, or even years, logic and self-preservation often take a back seat to this need to act. And I'm not saying that there wasn't logic involved in this. We absolutely see logic in his countermeasures that he used to avoid detection. So while it's a high-risk crime, he's minimizing his risk as best he can.
Yeah, I agree.
So I do want to go a little bit about in his background. I want to talk about that. So at the time of the crimes, he was 28 years old. He had grown up and lived his life in Pennsylvania. His parents are Michael and Marianne Kohberger. Michael was a maintenance worker and Marianne was a substitute teacher. They both worked in the school district. There's no reported history of physical, emotional, or sexual abuse, but just because we don't see that reported, we don't always know what goes on behind closed doors. But from everything we know, it doesn't seem that was the case.
No, I don't think that would be the case at all. Let me put this banner down real quick and then let me make me bigger. Stop sharing and then share again. Because I went over here and it just talks about his family. And his dad, it says, that he had flown out to Washington to travel home with him. Remember, he did that. Of course, he did. Of course, we remember. They drove back 2,500 miles. They went down and they went a weird way just to go home. But he did do that. It says on here that they were both, subpoenaed to testify in front of the grand jury in May. That was 2023. Following the murders, it was revealed that Bryan had been arrested in 2014 on misdemeanor theft charges for allegedly taking his sister's phone. Michael had contacted law enforcement about that because, he stole his sister's phone. He stole it and he took it to like Walmart and sold it or something like that. So then Marianne is his mother. She was employed at Pleasant Valley School District until 2020. She worked as a paraprofessional assisting special needs students. So I'm not sure I think we looked up paraprofessional. I think we did. I'm gonna look it up again. I think she worked in the office though. I think that's what it is. And she helped the students that had special needs. So she, besides her work at the school, she occasionally wrote local or letters to the local Pocono Record. In June 2022, she wrote one reflecting on school shootings in America. She also shared a poem that her daughter had written about the tragic shooting in Uvalde, Texas. As I sat this morning reeling from yet another school shooting, I found myself wrestling with which actions need to be taken to stop all the madness. What is the answer? Gun control measures, mental health intervention? Marianne wrote to the paper. As I read the poem, I thought, whatever the solution, I pray we consider children before the gun. She also had wrote a letter stating she's totally against, the death penalty. And then we don't really know a lot about his sisters. I know that Amanda had she had that horror movie that she was in, and then his other sister worked in the mental health field, and they both were fired, I think, from their jobs. Well, I don't even know if his younger sister had a job, but I know his older sister was fired from her job because of what he did. So there's that. Shouldn't have happened. I mean, she shouldn't have been fired because of what her brother did.
He was known to neighbors as quiet. He was a very heavyset child, and he was picked on. He was described by peers as being observant, awkward, and reserved. There's a couple people in one article, and I'll post these on our website, but 2 people called him non-existent. 2 different people, one from, I think, his high school, one from graduate school, who didn't know each other. I thought that was an interesting description. One of those people also said he was hollow. And a grad school colleague said, there's something human supposed to be there, and it's not. So kind of interesting, kind of a shell of a person, maybe just a person that seemed to...
Oh, that's not a good... you know what I mean? Y'all, if someone ever asks you about me, lie to them. Say I'm the best you've ever met.
Others to be going through the motions. That's the way I am interpreting these observations that were made by the people who interacted with Bryan Kohberger. He attended high school and he was described as a mediocre student. During high school, he had been apparently very overweight and he experienced a dramatic weight loss between his junior and senior year. He had some health complications, ended up having cosmetic surgery as well. As Angela had mentioned, it was reported he may have been hospitalized for eating disorder, but he was very regimented and controlled in his eating, that it seemed to have become a problem. He was a very strict vegan, and reportedly he wouldn't eat anything if it was cooked on a pan that had cooked meat before. So very, very strict.
That's true. And we'll read about that after this. I won't pull it back. I won't pull it up since we're watching this. But yeah, I've got the article about his aunt.
After this weight loss, during this time, his friends observed a very noticeable behavioral shift.
But I don't
and
think
it's
I don't think he got the cosmetic procedure done. Like that a lot of people were assuming because he lost a lot of weight that he got this cosmetic procedure done, right? Well, let me go over to my media. I'm going to scare you guys. I'm just forewarning you. But I'm scaring you right now. Okay. Looking at Kohberger's body, and I'm not trying to be looking at Kohberger's body. So I'm not even looking at it right now. I'm looking at the microphone. Can't even make eye contact with the monitor. But if you look at it, it doesn't appear that he had the surgery. In my mind, in my eyes, I don't think that he did, the way that he's like shaped. Even in the videos that we've seen him where he's walking, like in the Albertsons video, he has a weird shape. I don't know. I think that he didn't get the surgery. I think he just, I don't know. Maybe he did because his arms don't look like that flabby. Do you know what I mean? But that skin could probably go back pretty quick. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I don't think he got the surgery though. Can't really tell. Like, and you can't really tell in those pictures because you can't see where they would cut. Like where they would cut you. But I don't think he got it. Yeah, it's a huge scar. Oh yeah, it's huge. Yeah, so I don't think that he got it. I've never seen it anyway. I don't want to see it. Oh, like a gastric sleeve? I don't know. But his family doesn't have money. Like they don't have money like that, right? Like they filed bankruptcy a couple times. Yeah.
seemed to create an increased need for control, verbal manipulation, and physical dominance. Described as seeking to be the alpha and often belittling peers to assert superiority. Also during high school, Kohberger had substance abuse history. He began smoking marijuana in high school and then began using heroin as well. At the age of 15, Bryan joined an online community of people who believed they suffered from visual snow. And he reportedly posted some pretty interesting things and some insight into how he felt about himself during this time. I'll just read a couple things, but I got this from Howard Bloom's book, When the Night Comes Falling, a requiem for the Idaho student murders. So if you wanted to see more of what he had posted, but a couple of interesting things that I'll read to you from the book. And again, these are things that Kohberger reportedly posted in this online community for people who believe they suffered from visual snow. So the first thing, I feel like an organic sack of meat with no self-worth. I am starting to view everyone as this. Everything I have ever done makes no sense. How did things get this way? I always feel as if I am not there, completely depersonalized. Constant thoughts of suicide, crazy thoughts, delusions of grandeur, poor self-image. It is like I have severe brain damage. I am stuck in the depths of my mind where I have to consistently battle my demons. As my family hugs and celebrates, I am stuck in this void of nothing, feeling completely no emotion, feeling nothing. I feel dirty, like there is dirt inside of my head. I think about my father, what a good man he is, how I treat him like dirt because I have this condition and I can't take it. He also said that he could do whatever I want with little remorse. So that was a little insight into Bryan Kohberger at the age of 15. He ended up enrolling in community college. He did go to rehab at least once. That wasn't successful, but ultimately he did seem to recover from his heroin addiction. Again, multiple people reporting that he struggled with the addiction throughout his late teens and early 20s, but it did appear, at least by the time of the murder, he was no longer using heroin that we're aware of. It was reported that he lost friendships due to his erratic behavior and deceit related to the drug use. In fact, when he was 19, his father had turned him in for stealing his sister's cell phone, which he sold in order to purchase drugs. However, he did end up finding something he was passionate about, at least as passionate as he could be, and that was studying the area of criminal justice. In 2018, he completed an associate's degree in psychology. He then went on to earn a bachelor's degree in criminal justice and psychology from DeSales University. And he also completed a master's degree at DeSales University. And one of his professors was the renowned Catherine Ramsland, who has written many books. She is an expert on serial killers. And one of her most notable books she wrote with Dennis Rader, who was known as the BTK, and it's titled Confessions of a Serial Killer, The Untold Story of Dennis Rader, the BTK Killer. And just very recently, after Kohberger pleaded guilty, Dr. Ramsland did some interviews, and in articles published by Newsweek and the New York Times, she said that Kohberger completely fooled her. She said Kohberger selected the forensic track, which made her his advisor. And she said that he seemed eager to be in the classroom and described him as polite, respectful, intense, and curious. In May of 2022, a Reddit post under Kohberger's name sought volunteers for a research study on emotional and psychological decision-making in crimes. And the survey asked students to describe their thoughts, emotions, and actions from the beginning to the end of the crime commission process. So not unusual for a criminal justice student to be conducting this kind of a survey. But in any event, it's interesting. Dr. Ramsland says he just fooled me and she didn't even notice. But, when you're in that kind of situation, you're not necessarily looking for that. And it's more of a professional situation.
What do you mean you're not looking for it? You should be always on alert if you're Catherine Ramsland. She wrote a book with BTK. This kid didn't give her the ick.
As a professor, sometimes you're just glad when students are paying attention. I don't blame her for not recognizing that he was going to commit the crime. I mean, you just don't think like that in your normal everyday.
Well, I don't think she knew he was going to go out and kill 4 people. But I think she probably thought he was a little weird. Stop bumping him up in this freaking, giving him all these credits and sending him off to Washington State. It wasn't her. It was the other lady, but still.
Everyday life when you're interacting with your students. I mean, I think you always have to be aware that could be a possibility, but the majority of students in criminal justice.
Oh, sorry. And I'll say one more thing before, and I'll shut up for a minute. If he was doing the stuff that he was doing at Washington State, right? Going in when people are like trying to leave and standing in the doorway or hovering over their shoulder when they're at their computer. Don't you think he was doing that to Catherine Ramsland? Surely, for sure. 100,000% out of everybody. She's the one that knows the most about killers, right? Wouldn't he want to like pick her little, was it pick her ear? No, that's not what it is. Well, you know what I mean. I think that he would want to pick her brain. That's what it is. Pick her ear. You know what I mean? It gets late. It gets late over here. But I think that he would have been following her around, right? Where's her story? She did come out and say some stuff, but she didn't say anything about him following her around. And he was a follower.
Are not in criminal justice because they want to commit crimes. It's because they want to solve crimes. So a totally different situation than any kind of social situation where she may have seen more red flags. This is much more of a professional situation, and he's on his best behavior, I'm sure.
Shopify is
It's time for a new.
One always wants more of a good.
It's good to point out that
Then head to Shell where members get more. Offer valid from 4/21/25 through 10/31/25 at participating Shell locations. Offer must be redeemed within 60 days of registration. Limit 20 gallons. Restrictions apply. Visit fuelrewards.com/join25 for more information.
And it's good to point out that we'd love to have a checklist to say this person's going to be a serial killer. And even with the psychopathy checklist, the bottom line is there are people out there that could be diagnosed with psychopathy that would never become a serial killer. You know, that we have those individuals that function in society without committing any crimes.
And a lot of these characteristics would not necessarily be a red flag even to an expert in serial killers. But if we could actually predict which ones will commit a murder versus which ones never will.
No one has really come up with anything that effectively does that, whether it be serial murder or any type of murder. If you talk about, I guess, intrafamilial murder, there are certain dynamics that are likely present. But if you're talking about someone just committing a murder, there are all sorts of arguments about who is capable, whether it's everyone or just a certain type. When it comes to just anonymous murder of a victim where the offender has no prior contact, there are things that can be observed in those offenders later on, but they're variable. All of these characteristics that may be noted aren't present in every one.
One of my favorite quotes of yours, Bob, is if you've seen one serial killer, you've seen one serial killer. And like you said, the personality of a Bryan Kohberger is very different than the personality of a Ted Bundy, who supposedly Kohberger read up on. Kohberger presented as socially awkward, quiet, and intense. He wasn't outgoing or charismatic, and he made others uncomfortable. Whereas Bundy used his charm to gain trust, Kohberger wasn't able to rely on interpersonal manipulation the same way. Bundy was gregarious and outwardly affable, talkative, and engaging.
Both were capable, clearly, of murder, but to try to have a prototype is not helpful. And chances are, if there is a prototype, it's more on the logical, biochemical level than it would be in outward presentation.
See all of the, or you listened to all of the different statements that Kohberger made in the visual snow group. By the way, I didn't know what visual snow was, but apparently it's a neurological disorder where you see static, where you see, it looks like you're seeing snow. So that was interesting to learn. But anyway, in this group, several of the things, it's clear he knows he has an awareness, a self-awareness that he has something wrong with him. Something is not normal, but a lot of the things could related to depression. There are many different personality disorders that could lend themselves to the statements that he made. So,
Okay, well, whoa. This is the question that I have, right? If he knew there was something wrong with him, why didn't he seek treatment? Why didn't he seek out help at 28 years old? He is a grown-ass man at 28. You couldn't call and make a mental health appointment. Do you know how many times I had to call to get in to see a mental health person, like a psychiatrist? Oh my, every day for like 3 years. But you know what? I got in. I didn't go off for people. I didn't go kill 4 innocent students. I got treatment. So I wonder, like, when do people like realize they're going crazy a little bit, like they know something's wrong with them and they just don't seek the help, and then it goes into full on, mental state? Or I'm not sure, but he doesn't have anything, in my opinion, mentally wrong with him. He's just a killer. I don't think that there's anything mentally wrong there.
you can't discern
Maybe he has a little autism. I'll give him that.
that he's going to end up being a killer from any of those.
And his drug use.
Right. But I do find them very, very interesting. My favorite one of the things that Julia read is, I think about my father, what a good man he is. Treat him like dirt because I have this condition and I can't take it. It's like he's saying, I know I should be treating him better, but not necessarily that he has remorse. He knows maybe socially that he sees other people treating their parents better. He knows that it's something he should be doing, but he doesn't feel it. He doesn't feel remorse for treating him poorly. He knows he should be doing better. That's just a perfect example of somebody that just doesn't feel empathy, at least on some level.
In other statements, he has openly said that he lacks remorse. And I think his background in the area of psychology informs a lot of what he observes about himself. You know, he makes some statements that are expressive of things like depression, but also things like he recognizes a lack of remorse in himself. So again, Angela, I agree with you. There's not just one personality disorder that shows a lack of empathy, but I think it's the degree of the lack of empathy that leads us to say that aside from any other psychological condition that he possesses, one thing he does possess is a psychopathic personality, or as the DSM would characterize it, as within the category of antisocial personality, but specifically in work that has been done in the specific disorder of psychopathy, he meets the criteria of psychopathy. That's not the only thing that his personality reflects, but both his self-revealing
Antisocial and-
statements,
Let me
his
look up.
actions, and we can discern about his inner life and his fantasies. All of that supports that he was a psychopath, or he is a psychopath.
And certainly we're not qualified to make that diagnosis, but at least when we're looking at the characteristics.
Oh yeah, he could definitely fit into the antisocial personality disorder. You know, disregard of the rights of other people. Yeah, I could see that. Irresponsible and reckless behavior. Yeah, I could see that. I could see that.
That we see. And I don't even need to see stuff he said years ago to know that he lacks empathy, because as Bob, you point out, his actions tell me he lacks empathy. He went and brutally and callously murdered 4 people for his own personal reasons, without any regard for their well-being, without any regard for the trauma he inflicted on the surviving witnesses, without any regard for what he has done to their families and their friends and the community.
Without
With all
prior
his
grievance.
Right, without any prior grievance or without a personal connection that we know of to any of the victims. This was a plan that he was forming in some capacity back when he lived in Pennsylvania, and that plan was to murder an unknown person or persons without giving any consideration to them. The only consideration he had was for himself and how to avoid detection. He put a lot of time and effort into planning this and to avoid getting caught. And there are reports that he was looking up things and Googling things about psychopaths and sociopaths. And there's been questions as to if he was Googling about himself or Googling for his schoolwork. And I think it's about himself, because everything that he does is about himself. That's the only consideration he has. And that's clear. And I don't think we necessarily need to know what his Google history was or information that he posted online to make this assertion about him based on what we know about the crime he committed.
As you said, Julia, we don't, and nor can anyone diagnose personality based merely on observations of criminal activity, etc. You need a qualified clinician, uses both psychometric testing and clinical interview to make a diagnosis of a psychological condition, including psychopathy. But as you said, in interpreting his actions, his activity, and in what we can gather of his life history, nothing is, say, opposing the opinion of he is likely to be a psychopath.
Yeah, the characteristics we see align with psychopathy, antisocial personality disorder, other things. But again, we're not qualified to diagnose. We're just looking at the characteristics that we see, not only in his personal history, but in the commission of the crime and his actions taken after the crime. This truly is a person who has no remorse and who only cares about himself.
Now, his odd personality, the fact that he is odd and awkward in interpersonal communications or interactions, that may not be attributable, and it isn't attributable to his, say, psychopathic traits. If he is a psychopath, it may be existing comorbidly with other psychological conditions that would influence his behavior such that he would present as odd, awkward, etc.
Right, as opposed
So-
to charming and charismatic, or other
Yes.
characteristics that sometimes describe psychopaths.
And so I guess the takeaway is that while he is likely to be a psychopath, this just shows the great variations of what a psychopath may be or who a psychopath may be. They may be an odd guy who doesn't fit in, such as Kohberger, but it may be someone who is very socially adept, like a Ted Bundy. Or it may be his outward presentation may be different than both of them, either somewhere in the middle or completely incomparable to either one. But what they all share in common is, at their base, a certain humanness, a certain ability to relate with other human beings, to sympathize and empathize is missing, such that one of his peers, as you said earlier, said there's something human that should be there that just isn't. Perfect example, perfect description of someone of the type that we're speaking now.
Right, and this is someone who studies this as well. It's a fellow grad student of Kohberger's studying this. He noticed it. And I would think that that's the kind of relationship that you might have with someone. You would see more of those emotions being non-existent and him being hollow, as he was described. Whereas Dr. Ramsland, she's in a completely different type of position to have those same observations. It's a completely different relationship. There's something going on. If we all sit and study him, there are red flags, but I don't think anyone would have predicted this. And I think anyone who found out that he was the offender in this case was surprised. And then they look back and they say, well, he was awkward, he was odd. And then that's when you see the red flags. But nobody ever thinks that their neighbor, their friend, their student is a serial killer. Well, rarely. Most of the people don't think that. We do get some emails where we get a lot of people. I think my dad is the Zodiac. So occasionally we get that. But generally, we don't think that about people. And while the red flags are there when we look at him after the fact, we couldn't have predicted this without knowing his inner thoughts.
You could observe someone who is identical presentation to this individual and say, yes, they're odd. Yeah, they unnerve me. But am I going to call the police and say that this person is likely to murder someone? No, I'm not. Because, I mean, arguably, there are countless people that one person or another would describe as odd. That is not an observation that would support an accusation of a person on the verge of criminal activity. Odd, you can be odd and eccentric in our society, and there's literally nothing wrong with it. So just the fact that he was observed as being an odd person certainly has no intrinsically negative indicators attached.
So I do want to talk about whether or not classifying him behaviorally as a mass murderer or a serial killer, do we think he would have killed again? So just to give the definition, the official FBI Behavioral Analysis Unit definitions of these crimes: mass murder, unlawful killing of 4 or more victims at one location in a single continuous event. That is what happened here. It's a mass murder. Serial murder is the unlawful killing of 2 or more victims by the same offender in separate events. So this was not a serial murder by definition. Now, As some people have heard us talk about serial murderers and the definition of killing 2 or more victims by the same offender, I've always thought it's possible to be a serial killer in your heart and not necessarily have killed 2 or more victims. And I think that's where Bryan Kohberger fits in. I think he committed a mass murder, but I think he is someone that likely would have killed again after what we would call that cooling off period. Now, when we talk about statistics, and we've talked about this many times, that people who commit murder usually only commit one murder. They don't become serial murderers. So it is possible he might not have killed again. It is possible. But I think in this case, just based on what happened, I think we would likely think he probably would have killed again. He wanted to study serial killers because in effect, he's studying himself, and he wanted to become a serial killer.
I think when you look at murder overall, the fact that most murderers only murder once, there's a few reasons for that. One is that most people have some connection to their victim when they murder them. So there is a fairly high success rate, and it varies depending on the year, depending on the community. But there's a fairly high success rate in solving homicides. And that's because there is a connection, and the connections are easy to investigate. Now, serial homicides present a particular problem because there may be absolutely no prior connection. In his situation, we don't believe there was a prior connection to him and any one of these victims. His intention may have been just to commit a double murder in this instance, and he ended up killing 4 people. So he went from what would be classified, according to the FBI's crime classification manual, as a double murder. And as we were postulating, the circumstances led him to kill 4 people in one continuous instance. So it became a mass murder. To a certain extent, that doesn't make any difference as far as the murders themselves, but it does when interpreting his intentions, his motivations, etc.
Adobe Acrobat.
If your dog could talk to you
And I agree with you.
not completely satisfied, you'll get your money back. That's OLLIE.com/Wondery and enter code Wondery to get 60% off your first box.
And I agree with you that if this were only going to be a singular event in his life, he certainly put a great deal of time, money, and effort into gaining the level of knowledge he had about this type of events and the people who commit them, these type of offenses, and the murderers who are responsible. And that leads me to think that he is passionately interested in this as his focus in life. So I think initially there wasn't going to be probably a quick turnaround from this incident. But I think, as you said, after a cooling off period, if there was not any scrutiny upon him and he did not feel that he had to lie low, that I think he would have felt the impulse to reinitiate the process and go through with another murder or a series of murders until such time as he was apprehended and stopped.
Yeah, I like how you articulated that much better than I did, because the time and effort he put into it tells me that this was important to him, and the surveillance he put into all of that is part of the process. And he got a lot of enjoyment. It's how he spent his free time, the prowling, the surveillance he did afterwards, following the stories in the news. This was likely very gratifying to him. He came back to the
I agree with your comment, Jeff. Jeff said, I think he wanted to be like Ted Bundy, a serial killer who was suave with the ladies, except he failed at both. Yeah, I agree. I think that he wanted to be like Ted Bundy, but he's dumb because he couldn't even go into court and have the same charisma. I'm going to have to say it, as Ted Bundy. Like, I mean, I wasn't born in that time, but my mom told me that everybody was like, the guy is charismatic. Like they all said he was a horrible, horrible murderer, but he was charismatic. Like, I mean, you know, when he walked in a room, he let it be known. Kohberger, not so much. And now that Kohberger is caught and behind bars, he has this hearing coming up for the restitution. And he said, don't worry about picking me up because I'm not going. He don't want nothing to do with the courtroom now that he's been busted.
The scene the next morning, some
ashamed.
people speculate because he was maybe looking for the sheath and maybe dropped it outside, possibly, but it also probably was exhilarating for him to return to the crime scene and possibly anticipating seeing a police presence, which we know was not there yet. So I think you point out just the amount of time and effort he put into this particular crime indicates how important it is to him, and he was likely to do it again at some point in time.
This is speculation on my part. We talked about this earlier. I think it's possible that he deliberately selected this part of the country far away from where he lived as part of this whole process as well. When you think about that, he hadn't even been there but a few months, only in his first semester. And by March, he has a plan and he's purchasing a weapon and is putting a plan into place as far as for surveillance, et cetera. You know, had this been successful, would there have been another move? Would there have been another transfer to another university? All things to speculate on, but I think there's certainly the potential there for him to continue this had he been ultimately successful in the first.
A transfer? I never thought about that. Holy shit. I mean, he could have gotten a transfer probably anywhere. Those professors would have written anything probably to get him out of Washington State. They knew he was a menace, but they couldn't, like, it was to the point where he was fired from his TA position, but he could still go to school there. Like, they couldn't kick him out of the damn school. Not yet, anyway. What if he would have transferred? What if he would have transferred out? Like, I mean, if he would have still had his TA position, if he wouldn't have gotten fired from that TA position, he could have probably transferred out and nobody would have known. I mean, students transfer out all the time. It would have been I don't know. That's crazy. I never thought of that.
There's been a lot of questions as to why he pleaded guilty. And I thought this is something I thought, wow, he's, not emulating Ted Bundy in that regard, because Ted famously went to trial and he represented himself, and he even proposed to his, I guess, girlfriend while she was on the stand. It was just a spectacle. So is he afraid of the death penalty? Was that something that motivated him to plead guilty? Probably, partly, but there's also this part where he thought he was so smart. He was this academic in this field. His intention, I think, was to try to commit a perfect murder and get away with it because he's smarter than everybody else, and he didn't. And he made, as Angela pointed out, just some rookie mistakes in the commission of this crime, things that showed, yeah, he planned some aspects of it, but really messed up some other aspects of it. And that could be a deep personal failure to him that would be exposed if they were to have gone through with a trial. So I wondered if that was part of the motivation for also pleading guilty, avoid death and avoid being publicly exposed as an imbecile.
I agree.
Point. And we know he didn't do it to spare the families having to go through the trial.
No.
Or anyone else. But
any decision he made when it came to taking this guilty plea is only to benefit himself. That's how you have to look at every decision. Again, he has no regard for others. You're absolutely right, Angela. It wasn't to spare the family or the friends or the county from going through this trial. It had nothing to do with any of that. It was only for his personal benefit, which makes it frustrating because, this case, he was facing the death penalty. And if any case is appropriate for the death penalty, this one is.
One of the things, just to get back to this recidivism question, the Bureau of Justice Statistics did a study in 2002, and they looked at 272,000 paroled prisoners. and they found that only 1.2% of those released after serving a sentence for homicide were rearrested for homicide within a 3-year period. I think the point being that people don't ever want to parole murderers because they've committed the ultimate crime. However, the chances of them killing again are very statistically unlikely. But so is serial murder in general, where only, say, 1% of the population will represent psychopaths, and a small fraction of them will be serial murderers. And a very small fraction of murderers are actually serial murderers. But those serial murderers and those who are murdering because of a compulsion innate to them that has nothing to do with reaction to circumstances and externally, and everything to do with serving their internal processes, they will likely murder again if they have the opportunity. So we're making a statement about him that is statistically quite unlikely. Yet, because of the characteristics observed in both what we know of his personal history and what we see in his activity at the crime scene and before and after, we can still say that it's likely that he is representative of that small percentage who will reoffend. And by reoffend, I don't mean commit another felony. I mean actually commit murder again, if given the opportunity.
Yeah. And luckily, he will never be given the opportunity to get out. He cannot get out. You know, that we talk about punishment and whether someone's going to reoffend or whether someone gets rehabilitated. And I've always said, I don't really care if someone could be rehabilitated. It's got to be punishment for what you did. If you take a life, you need to pay with your life. Obviously, there can be mitigating circumstances. There are none here. So he's not ever getting out. He can't ask for leniency. He can't ask for a reduced sentence. At the sentencing, he can't argue for a reduced sentence if the deal is done. So that's a good thing because, like we said, he is somebody of that small percentage that we believe is likely a serial killer, even though he did not commit technically a serial killing.
That we know of.
That we know of. That's true.
28 years old.
Well, that's about the time. I think
Yeah.
that on average, it's about 28 years old where serial killers commit their first crimes. So he's
Yeah.
right on average. Anybody else? So I feel like at least the questions I said at the beginning that we would try to answer, we've at least discussed them. Maybe we haven't
Yes.
quite answered everything with 100% certainty. We're never 100%, but I think we've covered everything. I'm sure we've left things out. I have no doubt that this is a massive case, a massive investigation. There's a lot of information out there. As our listeners know, we just try to cut out the noise and look at the facts that we know. And we just don't have all those facts, but you know, we have enough to try to discuss the things we've talked about today. Anybody have any final words?
I have something I wanted to add that I know that we all agree with. Speaking of things that are out there, a lot of people vilified the 2 witnesses that remained in the house, the female housemates that weren't harmed and didn't notify police in a timely manner. Nobody can predict how somebody's going to react to a situation, the level of shock people experience. So in judging them and the way they behaved, these young girls, I just think is unfair and it's unwarranted. And all it can do is create more victims. They have been through enough in their lives and they deserve a chance to just move on.
Yeah. Thank you for saying that. I agree with you. No one can predict how someone's going to act when they've been traumatized. And having spent a lot of time interviewing victims of sexual assault, I can tell you from that trauma, there's all different reactions and nothing surprises me when it comes to how a victim reacts. Some want to tell their story over and over again. Some of the victims don't want to relive it. Some deal with stress by laughing and it seems inappropriate. Some don't report it. Some leave out information. Some report things like, I just blanked out. I froze. All of these are normal. There's no one verified reaction to trauma. So I'm really glad you said that they have been vilified and it has been unfair, unwarranted. It's cruel and it's coming from people who have what I believe to be no experience in any kind of police investigations or trauma-informed investigations.
Survival guilt is pervasive. Whenever there is a situation where there are a number of people affected by something that causes the death of some, but not all, whether it be combat situations, whether it be in law enforcement, whether it be a situation as we're speaking about now with this case, survivor guilt is a trauma that was inflicted upon them by the offender. So by judging these individuals and casting your disparaging view of them, making that public, you are just blaming victims. The most important thing a victim can do, and we tell them this, and this is kind of the sacred rule of thumb, is the most disparaging view of them, making that public, you are just blaming victims. The most important thing a victim can do, and we tell them this, and this is kind of the sacred rule of thumb, is the most important thing a victim can do when confronted with an offender, either directly or indirectly, is survive. That's it. That's the end of the obligation. If you do more than that, if you have the wherewithal to do more than that, that's great. But your reaction was successful if you're still breathing after you're in contact with that offender, period.
One other thing I'd like to add as far as a public service announcement, because in my time in the BAUs, we've had several cases that I can think of that involved college students and on college campuses, where I think it can be easy to be lured into a sense of safety and security. And whether it was a murder or a sexual assault, in many cases, it was, I think, because the victim felt they were safer in an environment than they actually were. And I think there's some very simple things that in any situation people can do to make themselves a little safer. And the first one is just being a little more security conscious. If we're in an area that's supposedly, in quotations, low crime, or we've grown up in a community where we never locked our doors or our windows, you just can't say it'll never happen here. And whether you're living in a group home or in a dorm situation, whatever it may be, some very simple, just not walking around being concerned about what might happen next. We don't have to be in a state of anxiety or panic, but not walking home alone late at night, simply locking your door. It may not prevent all, but it could possibly prevent some. If you're in a community type house situation, making sure that front door is locked, not loaning keys, etc. If you're on a ground floor, making sure your windows are locked. Anytime that you find yourself, such as sleeping in a vulnerable situation, just make sure you've included some security to make yourself a little bit safer. Because unfortunately, there are individuals that are going to be looking for something to take advantage of. And if you can do some simple things to make yourself less vulnerable, then that's a good thing, and potentially makes you someone less likely to be chosen as a target.
Yeah. And as we talk about over and over again, vulnerability is a huge part of victim selection.
We all went to college. I know we had the same habits. We did not lock our doors because people were coming in and out at night. So there's no judgment, but it's just a good announcement.
So I just want to wrap up. You know, we don't study people like Bryan Kohberger to elevate them. There is nothing extraordinary. You know, he's not the smartest guy whatsoever. There's nothing extraordinary about what he did. The only real value in understanding his behavior or the behavior of any violent offender is this, and it's to help solve future cases or to recognize patterns sooner, to identify other offenders faster so that maybe we can stop the next one before more lives are lost, or we can apply what we learn from offender behavior to help solve future crimes, as we always do. That's what we do. Between the four of us here, we have over 100 years of law enforcement experience and different experiences. And we apply everything that we've learned to all these cases to help solve other cases, to help prevent future violence. And that's it. That's why we study these offenders. This work isn't about the killer, it's about the victims, and it always has been. Madison Mogen, Kaylee Goncalves, Xana Kernodle, and Ethan Chapin were just beginning their lives. They mattered to their families and to their friends, and now to the world. And what was taken from them is immeasurable. And that's who we remember. That's it for this episode of The Consult. Thank you for listening.
Okay. So that was the episode 2. That's only 2 episodes that they have. I was looking to see if there was anything like on, X or anything new. There's not. Okay, so he really does look like what's the guy's name? Jake Gyllenhaal, and in this little GIF or whatever someone made. I don't know. I just saw it on TikTok. I don't know what he says, but what does it say? Like, look at his face. It does look like watch because it's AI.
I am the official soap picker upper in
did
jail.
Did they overlay his face?
I am the official soap picker upper in jail.
I'm the official soap picker upper in jail. They could have done better though. Whoever did that, they could have done like a better joke. Who's this? Oh, this is the other person being represented by Ann Taylor. How's he doing? Oh, he entered not guilty pleas. He's charming. Looks charming. I don't know what the 1 and the 11 means. And I don't know what this is on his chin. But yeah, so I forgot she had that other case. But it says one of the suspects charged in the killings of 2 northern Idaho men was arraigned in Nez Perce County District Court on Friday. Skylar Mead is charged with first-degree murder in the deaths of James Money, 83. Really? A senior citizen? And Julietta, of Julietta, sorry, and Gerald Dawn Henderson, 72. Were they just like friends or something living together? Who knows? That's so wrong. These court cases have been consolidated to Nez Perce County, and all hearings will be conducted in that venue. Okay, when it came to the plea, Mead remained silent. Wonder where he got that from. And the judge entered not guilty on his behalf in both of the cases. According to the Idaho State Police, the crime spree began when Nicholas Umpauer and Tia Garcia helped Mead escape from the Idaho Department of Corrections custody. They better not take Bryan to no hospital as St. Alphonsus Medical Center in Boise on March 20th, 2024. Wow. Helped them break out. It is believed Mead and Umpire then headed up north in a stolen vehicle and encountered Mounty, I don't know how to say it, as he was out walking his dogs. The suspects allegedly took Monty, the dogs, and his 2019 Chrysler Pacifica van before disposing of Monty's body. You did all that because you wanted his freaking car? He would have given you his car, I'm sure. Police said they believe the suspects then went to Clearwater County, where they allegedly killed Henderson at his home. And okay, so they didn't know each other, in a secluded area outside of Orofino. I don't know how to say that. The pair then continued to drive Monty's van to Twin Falls, Mead's hometown. They always. Why, when you break out of prison, you go straight back home? They always do. You always go to mom's house. That's where they go. That's where the cops go first. We're going to go to mom's. He's going to go to mom's house. Probably went to mom's. It says that the following day, the Chrysler Pacifica was found at a home in Filer. Tanya, it could be Tanya Huber was sentenced for her role in assisting the suspects. Power was arrested nearby, while Twin Falls police arrested Mead outside Walgreens on Pole Line Road. Mead is being represented by Ann Taylor, who defended Bryan Kohberger, as well as Rick Cudahy, who is assisting her. Oh, that's someone different. There is a status conference on November 6th, followed by a slew of hearings leading up to his jury trial next year. Mead's trial is March 6th and expected to last 6 weeks. We might have to look into this. This is pretty interesting. Oh, I thought I was on that page with you guys, but I wasn't. I just read that whole thing. That's fine. Look at him. Look at his face, though. He be having the look. These look like prison tats. All of these look like prison tats. He don't look like he got any of them at a tattoo parlor. And if he did, they need to fire the people. Yeah, he just broke out. Peaced out. Hey, Mr. Rosebud. He's a scary looking dude. So she's still representing Bryan until I guess like the restitution and everything's done. Because like technically he has to have a lawyer and he doesn't have the money to like buy one, pay for one. Now, why does he get her? He shouldn't. He should get just a regular old probation or parole or whatever they are. Where they're paid by the state. I cannot think right now, but he just needs to get another lawyer that's paid by the state to pick it up because Anne is a busy woman. She's got places to go, people to see, people to get out of prison, like this guy, keep out of prison or get out of prison because he's already back in prison. You know, that's right. That's civil. So he should just have a regular Joe Smo public defender. Yes, I could not think of the word. Thank you, baby girl. Could not think of it. Yeah, he was smart though, PKC. He was like, I'm gonna go to the hospital. I mean, man. You can get your eyebrows tattooed. Yep, you sure can. Yep. I should do that. No. No, I shouldn't. I got plenty of hair there. That would be nice to not even have to worry about those things though. It's a bit much, yeah. Well, you want to have it on your face when you're in prison, so it's right there, you know, so people can see it, so they can like. I'm sure it hurts. I have tattoos. I don't have any on my face. Not yet, anyway. You know, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm not getting any face tats. Vincent's mom will be calling him tomorrow, going, "Tanya says she's getting a face tat." I tried to get Vincent. I didn't try to get him yet, but I told him about getting a tattoo on his ring finger, and he was like, "That would hurt." He's like, "I already have this. I've got one. It's like this little piece of dirt on his finger." I'm like, "That's a piece of dirt. That's not anything." Like, microblading? I've never done that. I would love to, but I've never had that done. Well, now that we're just chit-chatting, I'll just take him off the screen because he's scary. Yeah. So yeah, she's the only. She's. I think there's only like 2 death penalty. Or wait, there's 12. I think in the state, but there's only 2 in upper northern. I think Idaho, or she's the only one in northern Idaho. Really, Scotty? Yeah, that's how mine are. I think. Well, yeah. Except for this one on my wrist. I mean, I can cover it with my, my sleeve. But if I were to work like where I used to work, well, now they don't care. But when I used to be a server of all things, a server at a certain restaurant, I could not have any tattoos on my arms. Not even if I was covering it with a shirt. Not even if it was all the way up here and my shirt was all the way down to here. It did not matter. If the manager knew about it, she just knew in her mind you had a tattoo under there. She'd be like, "You have to be in the back of the house." And now my cousin or my niece works there, and she's got like 30 tattoos. And I'm like, well, and it's the same manager. I'm like, what happened? Inside the upper arm, I could see that. This one wasn't too bad. I actually didn't move at all. Surprisingly, I have like a I don't know what the conditions call it, but I shake. Like I just abnormally, like, I don't know, my hands just kind of shake. They're not that bad right now. But so when I got that one done, I was like, strap me to this thing as good as you can, because I thought I was going to for sure like jerk my arm when it just out of reaction, but I didn't. My friend was like, "You've never sat so still in your life," and I'm like, "Yeah, I don't want him to mess that up." And I do have my lower back tattooed. I did it. I went there. I did it. I was 18. You leave me alone. Thanks, Tony, if you're listening. My brother bought me my first tattoo when I was 18. What a brother. My mom was like, what are you doing today? Like, we're going to get tattoos. It was pretty exciting. Yes, she did leave Kootenai County. Yeah, she has her own little practice. I'm with fibro, yeah. Yeah. See, they thought I had fibro, but they don't know what it is. I think it's just a bunch of like just injuries. I have a tramp stamp. I do, Aussie. And it's the thing about it is it's not in the English language. I got my initials. Well, we're going to hope. Maybe I'll show it one time and then we can look it up. That could be exciting. Maybe I'll do that on the second channel. Like have Vincent take a picture of it and then we'll just turn it around or whatever, like, mirror it and then look it up, because it's Chinese lettering on my lower back that's supposed to be my initials. And every time we would go to get Chinese food with my dad, after I got my tattoo, he would be like, I'm going to ask him. Like he was a torturer. He was funny. He was so funny. But at the time, it was not funny to me. I was like devastated. He'd be like, just show him your lower back. And I'm like, I'm not doing it. Just, my dad hated that I had a tattoo, but he couldn't say anything because he went and got a tattoo when I was in 8th grade and my mom had a heart attack about it. So there was that. She's no dummy. No, she's getting all the monies. Really, Dan? I've never used color. I didn't know it was even like it was worse with color. Ladybug, do you have any tattoos? I don't see Ladybug having. Actually, I do. I can see you having some tattoos, Ladybug. Actually, I can see you having like a little rose or something. You know what I'm talking about? Like on the ankle, little rose. Oh, his butt really has charge. We might have to look at those. We might have to look through his case. I mean, it's pretty interesting. You have 0, Mr. Rosebud? I didn't do it. I don't know why I got the first one. Actually, I do. I know I got the first one because I saw a girl. This is so dumb. I saw a girl at a party and she had one. And I never saw the girl again. Never saw her after this party. I never saw her when I got the tattoo. And I lived in a small town. I don't even remember who this person is. I could not even tell you. But I remember seeing it and I thought, oh, that's so cute. And like a couple years later, that's when I got it. And my brother was like, what do you want for your birthday? It's turning 18. I was like, tattoo? He's like, okay, let's do it. So I got a tattoo. My mom was like, I cannot believe you're getting a tattoo. A bear with a daisy. Oh, that's cute. And a fairy. Oh, that's cute. Ladybug's like, I'm not telling you guys about my tattoos. You have 15, Scotty? Wow. Watch my luck. I'll probably end up on jury duty for one or both. If you do, that'd be amazing for us. Yeah, I'll have to be afterwards because you wouldn't be able to talk to us. You'd be probably like sequestered or something. You have 6, Casey? Oh, you have a Grateful Dead one. Man. That's awesome. That is awesome. I have friends that have Grateful Dead tattoos. I never got into the Grateful Dead like as much as some people did, which is weird because I think I like their music now. You don't have any, Ladybug? Well, we're taking Ladybug get a tattoo. Ladybug, you're getting a tattoo. You got to have one. Got to have one. Tell your husband. Just say it's a fake tattoo. Just say it's fake. It's fake. My mom knew my dad got a tattoo because he was wearing a shirt. My dad used to never wear like he would never wear a shirt around the house. The dude was sweatpants on, like sweatpants. And if the Eagles were playing, you'd get an Eagles jersey. Other than that, that was just my dad. That was just him. Love my dad. Bless his soul. But he got a tattoo of an eagle for the Philadelphia Eagles. It was terrible. It was the worst tattoo. It was bad. It was really bad. And my dad had a real skinny arm, like as small as mine. So the eagle it looked like a parrot. It looked like it did not look like an eagle. It did not. And my mom, I remember her walking into the kitchen and she stopped and she was like, what'd you do? What'd you do? She knew immediately. She knew he did something immediately. And I was like, he got a tattoo. And I ran. I was like, he gonna be in so much trouble. And he was in trouble. I didn't even get in that much trouble when I got a tattoo. Kathy, I love that. I was messing up at there. Daisy's your favorite flower? Vincent almost got me flowers today. I should have worked on those flowers. Actually, I think he's going to surprise me because he was asking me which colors I liked. Like of the rose, there were roses. And I like the yellow roses. I like white roses. I like pink roses. I like red roses, but I'm not like a huge fan of red roses. I don't know why. I like the lighter colors. So. Scotty, you sound like you have a lot of cool tattoos. I would get some poppy flowers. I would do that. Then when I named my store, I didn't realize that poppy was the state flower for California and Vincent's from California. And so it just kind of, I was like, oh, that's cute. But I'm going to jump off here. I think, I wonder if I can get a picture of these two. I didn't realize that they were sitting behind me like that. I got to show you guys this. This is too cute. They're sleeping in the same bed. They're both snoring. You got to see the big one. The big one's the funniest one. She's crazy. Okay. These are my dogs. This is them right now. This is my walking pad beside. Look at them. Look at how big Mia is. She's snoring. She's out. She's gone. She's just, good night. And they don't have their collars on right now, so they're naked. That's why I say when they don't have their collars on, I need to give them a bath tomorrow. So there's my girls. Thank you guys for being here tonight. I appreciate it. They said they appreciate it too. I mean, I put them to sleep. So cool. Well, I'm going to jump off here. You guys have a wonderful evening. I bet Vincent's out there sleeping as well. So I bet everybody's asleep but me. But I will see you guys all tomorrow. I think I am going to do some more lives on my second channel this week. I want to come up with some concepts for that channel. I want to do like viewer stories, but I don't know what kind of stories I want people to send in yet. Whether it be like just like something crazy that happens to them or like, I don't know. I need something like specific though, right? So we'll think of it, but it'll be fun. It'll be fun. And thank you, Tony. They're my everything. I want another dog too, but I can't get another dog. I want a miniature golden doodle. The little face. Oh, they're so cute. But thank you guys for being here tonight. I do appreciate it. I'll see you guys all tomorrow. Have a wonderful evening. Bye, guys.
Just like the street lights lit this town, like a fire in a blaze, gotta burn it down. Can't be afraid to leave this out. We got this far, don't know how. I see danger in your eyes. They know we'll burn down the night. Coming just like the sunrise. You know that we gonna let it rain. Tonight we gonna let it rain. Tonight we gonna let it rain. Just like the sunrise, we gonna let it rain. Just like a spark that's breaking out. Can't make a stop, can't turn back now.